I'm gonna hit the play on this thing.
And I'm gonna do my little intro thing. So
yeah, get your spiel together. Do this.
Hello and welcome to another Woodshop podcast with Mike Coffey of Coffee Custom Builds, Daniel Dunlap of Daniel Dunlap Woodworks, and Peter Kapar of Petrie's Workshop. You can find us all as well as the podcast on Instagram and YouTube.
Welcome everyone to episode 20 of another Woodshop podcast. The only podcast that, when played backwards, sounds just like Wood Talk. What's going on, boys?
All right, you get to keep your job.
All right. Made my paycheck. Oh, what is happening, boys?
That was pretty good. I'm proud of you.
Well, hey, that may have been your best intro line
your best
ever.
One. All the other ones, super bad. It only took 20 episodes to get a good one. I'm super proud of you. Actually, all jokes aside, they've all been really good. That was just extra good.
Dan, would you agree with me that they were fire?
They were fun.
They were fire. Thanks, Daniel.
Are you on the Are you on board with this? You're giving the thumbs up on.
It's mainly just because you get so mad about it.
I'm a 41-year-old who says fire.
Oh God.
Yeah. Before Dan,
subs polling.
Before Dan, the only person that said fire.
Trending train is leaving the station.
Oh yeah.
Hey, listen. We have a sponsor.
Yes, we do.
Their name is Bear Hollow Supply.
Woo!
Thank you to Bear Hollow Supply. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for sponsoring us. Mainly, we appreciate what they have to offer, and they've got really great stuff. I actually have some undermount slides I'm going to be installing this week. I have not gotten to it yet because I've been pretty busy, but thank you to Bear Hollow Supply. They got really great hardware and other woodworking supplies. They recently picked up lumber. Actually, they're selling lumber at their stores or online. Actually, they'll send it to your house. You give them money, they give you lumber. Bear Hollow Supply. Ooh, that's their new motto.
I did like your transition because we were talking about things that are fire, and you went to Bear Hollow Supply, which has just fire swag and hardware, and you nailed it. Love it.
Subs dropping. Dan's bummed out. I can see it in Dan's face.
Yep.
Well, I want to talk about something special as well.
Thank you, Bear Hollow.
Yeah, thank you, Bear Hollow. Thank you very much.
And I want to talk about something special. Our other sponsor, with a Z, which is our patrons, our wonderful patrons.
Yes.
Big, huge, enormous thank you to all of you that have signed up. We have been absolutely blown away.
It's
blown
crazy.
Away.
This is not at all underplayed. We are blown away by the amount of support we're getting from the community. We love you guys. You guys are great. And we want to make sure to keep providing great content for you. For those of you that don't know, we have a Patreon. We're offering a lot of great stuff, anything from stickers. We're going to be getting t-shirts now, and not just one style. We're going to be having multiples. We have the pre-show that gets dropped, and that is, fair warning, explicit.
This week's pre-show?
I cried multiple times, but in a good way.
It's fire.
It's fire. Fuego.
Pete cried.
It's en fuego.
En fuego.
Es muy en fuego.
Muy fuego. It's so good. We're dropping the video of the episode, and it's just so good. You guys are gonna love it. And best part is, you guys don't want to wait till Sunday night to listen to a podcast. No, you want to do it on Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning when you're getting in there. Yep, exactly. Driving with your family on a Sunday road trip, you just want to play it because we know your whole family listens to it because we're clean. That's right. Just don't play the pre-show, please. But you get early access to the episodes, which is really cool. And you don't have to do anything special. Just once you sign up, you have the RSS feed. It just drops into your podcast catcher, and you're set. You're done. Boom. That's it.
Well, hey.
Now,
speaking of Patreon, we got some new patrons this week.
Oh, snap!
And we all put money on that we wouldn't get anymore, so we all lost. So
I lost big time.
We're gonna name the new patrons every week. Dan put a lot of money on no. First we got Andrew Kremer from alphaKilo. We got Jon F from Texas YankeeCarpentry. We got Jason Bragg from Family Generations Woodworks. We got Brad Gillespie from Ithan Creek Woodworks. We got Doug Handler from Social That's his email. I'm not going to give that out. We got Scott Orman from Dad It Yourself DIY. We got David Miller, and we got Chad Hibbs. Thank you so much, you guys and gals. There's no gals in that list, but there are some gals in our Patreon list.
We have some gals.
Not in that list, but we do have some gals, and we appreciate all of you
the overall
so very much.
And look, we mispronounced your names for free. Like, that's a bonus on us. You're welcome.
No, we didn't mispronounce. Mike did.
Hey, what the heck?
That's right. Yeah.
Bus driver Dan.
Well, speaking of Mike, Wom, bro. Wom. What's up?
What's on my bench?
Your bench.
What's on your bench?
Yeah, you don't have to sing it. I have the soundbite.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. I enjoy singing it though.
Well, this week I built a few things on my workbench, which is good. I built I made a little like a thin blue line epoxy flag bottle opener. I knocked out a little charcuterie board for my aunt as a gift, and I started designing this coffee table. So I've actually got the design done. I finished that in Fusion last night, and that's kind of what's been on my bench. It's been kind of a slow week again, actually, but that's what I've gotten done. Tomorrow I'm going to be heading to Macbeth, and I'm going to be getting the redwood slab flattened on their giant wide belt sander, so that I can start really getting to work on that thing. So
I'm surprised you don't have a giant wide belt sander in your own shop yet.
Chump.
As you pour another bourbon. Oh no, you have Scotch, right?
It's Scotch, yes.
It's Scotch. The finest.
It's Vizzy water.
Scotch. It's the finest Irish Scotch.
Wait, does Poland make a Scotch?
The finest Scotch.
It's probably made out of a potato still.
Yeah.
Episode 10.
Anyway, that's it for me. Daniel, what's on your bench?
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Actually, I made a quick little in-grain walnut cutting board just because I was in between like glue ups and stuff, and I'm also starting on the bookcases that are going to be on either side of the big walnut desk that I've been working on for like the last 7 years, it feels like. And those clients actually texted me today, and they asked me how progress was going, and I told them, it's going well. And they were super excited, and they said, that's great, but we have another project we want you to work on, which is this super modern like shelf system that's going to go on their entryway, and that's going to be fire.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I hate this show.
So I got a few things on my bench. What's up with you, Pete?
Yeah, thanks for remembering my name. I appreciate it. Fine.
I couldn't remember it. I was like, was it Mike? Was it Pete? I don't know.
That's fine.
What's on your bench, buddy?
Well,
what's on your bench, guy?
Hey, guy, friend. Yeah, I remember you. You're dude. We always called you dude.
You're the what's on your bench, Charlie?
Charlie. That's right.
Oh yeah, that plays in.
Yep. Only the pre-show people will get that. So what's on my bench, you ask? Well, last weekend, me and Emma packed up the car. We packed half of the shop up into the back of my Subaru and drove up to Connecticut to where we're going to get married. And basically, we're getting married in a barn. It's a family property with a big barn that I wish was my shop. It's just so much space there.
Does it have
what?
Dirt floor?
It does not. It's all concrete.
Not a real barn.
Well, it was, but they poured concrete. Okay, it's got upcycled, Dan. Upcycled. Anyways, they're doing a lot of repairs. They had to tear out some floorboards from the second floor that isn't really being used, and they were using that to patch the outside, and there's just tons of the barnwood left. So we built a rolling bar for the wedding, and they do a lot of family events there too, so we're going to be using that too. It's got a cool little chevron pattern, and it's like the most Pinterest thing I have ever made in my life, and I kind of hate myself for it, but I'm gonna cut
nice. You off, like that
fire.
Turned out really great.
It's so good. Yes,
it's fire.
Mike, stop trying to. You're like, now you sound like a dad trying to sound cool.
It's fire.
Nope, you're doing it wrong, Dad. But
No,
just
it
making
turned
that
out
was
really great.
It
yeah,
really
it's
did.
turned out really great. I
a
love
great
it.
job.
I'm really excited about it. Our family's excited about it. They've been using it already. And aside from that, I got the chuck box that I made. I hit it with some poly and sealed it up.
Finally?
Made a new drawer for it. Yeah, finally. I don't like finishing stuff. Someone asked us about finishing. I don't like finishing, but I finished it up and I delivered
cutting
it.
board rack.
Thanks, buddy. Every week with this crap.
That cutting board rack is fire.
Yeah, I'm about to set fire to it, so you stop talking about it. So I delivered it to the customer, and they paid me in beer. I mean, there's money exchange too, but I got beer, local craft beer, and I will never say no to that. So that was pretty.
I thought that wasn't for Filson.
That was well, Filson didn't want the actual product.
Oh, so you were able to sell it?
Yeah. Well, I was
That's sick.
because we have like a super fancy, like crazy one that we made for our company, really built in. But yeah, so I was like,
you kept a nice one for you. Filson got the trash.
well, this one is way better than the first one I
No,
made.
I'm just joking. Yeah.
I'll
So
tell
you were out to make it and do the sponsor, and then that's sick. Good job, Pete.
Yeah,
I'm proud
they
of you.
wanted the plans.
That is
they
a
wanted
fire transaction.
This was really.
You
yeah.
really need to stop.
I tripled it.
Nope.
You're ruining this.
Michael, stop
Oh,
it!
I'm
You're
ruining
embarrassing yourself.
Michael!
Oh,
That's really sick, Pete. I didn't know that.
keep drinking. You're too.
So
And that's about it. Yeah,
Cool.
that's it. Should we jump into voicemails? Because we have a lot of them. Like
Should
my
we have,
gosh,
we
we
have
have
roughly
so many.
20.
It's
We have as
ridiculous.
many voicemails as we have episodes.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, some of
that's
them are
accurate.
erroneously put in
Yes.
there.
So
The guy who pulls in all the voicemails screwed up and kind of doubled up on some, but
why
that's me.
he's tired.
So we're gonna get to the voicemails, and the first voicemail is from Andrew with alphaKilo. Thank you, Andrew.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Andy from alphaKilo Woodworking.
Andy.
Question for you on the content creation side of the house. I know a lot of us are using our iPhones to record content and then edit it down to the 1 to 2 minutes, 40 IG, less than 20 for YouTube if we're doing a channel. But what does everybody do with their stock footage? Do you leave it on the phone? Do you load it up to the cloud, which still saves it onto your phone, unfortunately? Or do you transfer it to a hard drive? Or do you get rid of it all completely and just save the final product that you edited down to earlier? Appreciate any input that you guys have. Love the podcast. Love what you guys are doing. I look forward to it every week. You guys are completely entertaining, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it, man. Dan,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Well, because of my other business, which is a photography company.
When'd you start
Really?
that?
What?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew, but
Big
yeah,
world.
kind of a big deal. I pay for a pro like Dropbox account, and I think that gets me like 2 terabytes of space. So I have it set up to where whenever I take a picture or take a video on my phone, that it uploads automatically to Dropbox. So whenever my phone fills up, I can go through and delete everything and start fresh, and everything's saved on Dropbox.
Nice.
And it's I think the pro account's like $100 a year, which it may sound like a lot, but when that's like an integral part of your business, it's not too much.
Makes sense.
What about you, Pete?
So for me, I actually struggled for a while with handling video on my phone, because you tend to like record a bunch of stuff and maybe you're not done with the project, and then you take 100 pictures because it's so effortless, and then stuff starts getting lost in there. I actually recently watched a video by Adam Savage that has completely changed the way I record on my phone, and that is he will, like in the beginning of a movie where they're shooting a scene, they do the little clicker, whatever the thing is.
It's called a clicky clacker.
Yeah, the clicky clacker. So they use a clicky clacker. It goes fat, whatever.
Technical term.
Yeah,
Technically a clicky clacker. Yeah.
We're from the industry. We get it. So he legitimately holds up a piece of paper that'll be like, like I'll use this example of my most recent build, which was the flip top cart. It'll say like flip top cart, and that's the first shot of the scene. So as he's going through the actual photos, it shows that as the first thing. And then on the last shot, he'll do the same exact thing. So he knows where the start and the end is. And then he can just export those out. As far as
Do you do
exporting,
that?
I do it on my phone now. Anytime I record on my phone, I do an in and an out. It makes it so much easier. I just go to videos and I know, okay, well, these right here, this is all the content for this video. As for saving it, all of it gets exported onto my computer. I don't trust it to be an iCloud or my phone. It gets lost in a shuffle. And I also have what's called a RAID set up on my computer, on my external. So basically my data is split up over 3 drives, and I can lose up to 1 drive and no data will be lost, which is really, really fancy and fun. What about you, Mike?
I do a few things. For my phone, and up until about, I don't know when I got my camera, like a month or 2 ago, I did everything. I have the 2 terabyte iCloud drive. I pay for that. I don't know what that is. It's pretty cheap per month, but
it's like $10, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. And it's split. It's across the family.
Or like 100 a year or something. Like it's one of those same.
It's like 120 or something like that. It's pretty close to Dropbox. But anyway, I have that.
I'm getting ripped off.
But it's 120 a year, and it's built into my phone, so I just pay for that because I run all of our personal life out of iCloud as well. So I have that, and that's where I save that. But in terms of my stock footage, like I clear out stuff that I know I didn't use in a project, but I haven't really recorded any projects on my phone since I got my camera. So I just keep everything in iCloud that I record on my phone. But the stuff on my camera, what I'm doing now is I have an external hard drive that I save the SD cards from my camera to the external hard drive, and I actually have a RAID as well on my main tower here to the right of me, and I actually have that backed up twice on there as well because I have lost whole hard drives in the past, and that's when I started having a backup system. So my actual computer that I'm pointing at that no one can see is it's got multiple hard drives in it, and a lot of it's redundant for that very reason. So it's got all my photos saved on there multiple times from my camera. So that's kind of how I do it. So I think that's the answer to that.
Yeah.
Anything else? No? Okay.
No, that's it.
This next question is from Andrew Dembek, and he has a question for us about dust collection.
Hey guys, this is Andrew from ADD Woodworking on Instagram. I have a question for Mike and Pete about dust collection. I know you guys have talked about dust collection in general before, but when buying a new tool, how much does the dust collection on that tool play into your decision to buy it or not? I know that David Picciuto has talked about how it's one of the top things that he thinks about when he buys a new tool. But what about you guys? Thanks.
Pete?
Oh, man. First of all, wow. Such shade. We love it. So much shade. Dan was very upset. So for me, it used to not really matter because I just assumed it would like have some kind of dust collection. But now that I have more tools that have proper dust collection and dust collection ports on them, like I cannot use my Mirka without a without a vacuum hooked up to it. I used it outside on this barn build that I made. I was sanding the top, and I couldn't even use it outdoors because it creates so much dust because it removes so much material. So I do think about it a lot more nowadays. I definitely, that's one of the considerations that I have when I'm buying a tool. If something has really crappy dust collection or no dust collection, it's probably getting moved down on the list. What about you, Mike?
Dust collection is like super important to me. It's really a big factor, and it's one of the main. It's a big reason why I upgrade is because I guess you spend so much time cleaning your shop, and you I just want to build stuff. Like I'm not into just cleaning my shop. I don't want to spend time cleaning my shop. I want to spend time building stuff, and when I don't have to worry about dust all over the place or sawdust all over the place, I can do that. So for me, it's a huge factor. Like it's the reason I went from a contractor saw to a cabinet saw, and other things.
Perfect example.
Well. Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's important to me. It's really important. I also, very early. I've only been doing this for a couple years, but like when I first started getting into this, I started watching videos and people were talking about. I saw some video that scared the crap out of me about. The fine dust and what it can do to your lungs and stuff. So I started watching those videos and I was like, this is important. So for me, it's pretty high up on the list.
Also, if you have climate control in your shop, either heat or AC, you don't want to have to be opening up your garage doors to vent out sawdust.
Right.
You know, you're in that room. Like Mike, now you have the AC in your shop too.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely want to make sure you have dust collection because you're not wanting to open up that that door in a
No, it's 100
summer.
degrees outside. I'm not opening that door up ever. I keep it locked
Dan,
down.
any thoughts on our answers?
I've been doing woodworking since 1997, so I don't have any. I guess I don't have any knowledge on dust collection. I don't know. Next.
All right. So the next question is from Caleb. Minnesota.
Well, Dan, hypothetically, if you were to care about dust collection, how would you answer this?
How important would it be to you?
First of all, I care about dust collection.
Have you seen my 120 CFM Craftsman late 90s shop vac?
I have a very nice shop vac. I'll have you know.
It's a Shopsmith dust vac.
Shopsmith shop vac.
I mean, it's pretty important. I work out of a garage. It's a pretty small space, so you know I take that into consideration as well. But you know the question wasn't directed to me, so next.
Oh man, Dan.
I ain't mad at you.
All right, so this next question is from Caleb Jordan.
Hey guys, this is Caleb from the Up North Minnesota shop. Jay the D brought the heavy questions last week, so I'm going to keep it light. I actually have a question and a request, if you want to call it that. My question is, when you're building a tabletop, do you sand and finish the bottom exactly the same as the top, or maybe not go quite as far through the grits on the bottom, and maybe not quite as many coats of finish on the bottom of the table as you would the top, or do you do the same? And then my request suggestion is, my life is not the same without Dan's hot tip each week. So I'd love to hear Dan's hot tip each week. Throw a little segment in there, do a weird little sound bite. But Dan, you got to give it to us each week. Thanks.
Dan?
The people have spoken.
I can't go first.
Okay.
I'm thinking about the hot tip.
Ooh. Yes. So I will not finish. Usually, if I'm doing a tabletop, I'm not finishing to the same exact level as the top, but I absolutely finishing enough to, when I apply, first of all, I'm sanding it a little bit and I'm finishing it. I'm applying finish. I'm sealing it up. One of the biggest mistakes you can make, and I've made it when I was a younger woodworker, is not finishing one side of a tabletop. It will bow on you. It'll move. It'll cup. Because what's happening is it's absorbing moisture from the bottom and not from the top, because the top is sealed up. So you want to make sure you're sealing it up all the way around. So even if you don't sand to the same grit, which I'll sand it up, but I might not raise the grain on it. Whereas on top, I'm going to go over the top. Over the top on the top. Get it? Anyways, but I will apply finish to all of it to seal the grain completely. What about you, Mike?
I think you should do the same to the top as the bottom. Just because, actually, I don't really have a good reason for it. I just kind of consistency. I really I react to tactile things. And if I'm rubbing my hand on the top of a tabletop and then I rub my hands on the bottom of a like actually this desk I'm touching right now, it has a different feel underneath than it does on top, even though it's fake. It's not real wood. And I don't like that. So for me, that's one of the things I don't like about this desk is that when I feel the top, it's smooth. When I feel underneath, it's rough, and I don't like that about that. So it's just one of those tactile things for me. So the answer is yes, I do.
If someone's like sticking gum underneath the table, you don't want them to like feel how rough it is. Like that's just
that's
experience for them.
Super accurate and very much what I was talking about. Dan, what about you?
I kind of have like an answer that like takes both of your guys' opinions into effect. Mm-hmm. I will finish both sides of the tabletop, but the bottom side will usually get sanded to 80, maybe 120 at best. But the edges of the tabletop on the bottom side will get finished the same as the top, because who is going to feel the middle of the bottom as opposed to the bottom edges? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, normal person's not going to be under there feeling.
Yes, but as Pete said, if you don't finish everything, it will cup on you over time.
Yeah,
it needs some sort of sealant. So
yep.
I will make sure that it gets at least like 2 coats of sealant, whether that be wipe on poly, boiled linseed oil, whatever you're gonna do, at least 2 coats, and the top will get like 3 to 4, maybe 5 coats for extra protection.
Cool.
And as far as Dan's hot tip, oh my goodness.
That's Patreon
I wanted time to come up with something, and I don't think I have anything.
We can come back to this.
You'll come back to it.
Yeah, on one of your other ones. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself. All right. This is What? No, I thought you had something. This is Chad Hibbs.
I was gonna hurt myself thinking.
Do you know him, Dan? Who? Oh, Dan, do you know Chad Hibbs? No. Okay.
No,
all right. This is Chad Hibbs.
Hey guys, Chad from Chad's Workshop. Really enjoy the podcast and appreciate all the work that you guys put into it. My question today is in regards to resawing. When I got my bandsaw, I had kind of dreams of taking some, 5/6 quarter material that I had and cutting it down, resawing it down to something like 3/8 inch to a 1/2 inch. Really make good use of that material when I need thinner stock. What I've come to find out is you actually need to start with something quite a bit thicker if you're looking to get down to 3/8 inch or 1/2 inch thick. And maybe the savings on material isn't as great as if I just plane down 4 quarter material down to 1/2 inch or whatever. So my question for you is, what's your rule of thumb when resawing? If you're looking to get to a certain dimension, what thickness do you usually start with? Look forward to hearing your thoughts on this and what you guys would do. Thanks.
Pete?
I'll take this one. So, very good friend of mine. You guys have heard me drop his name like we're best friends. God. Yeah, I'll say it. So, here's the thing about the bandsaw. The bandsaw, if it is not dialed in, it will deviate a lot off track, and you are going to lose a lot of material.
Drift.
Yeah, drift, man. Drift, bro. It's a real thing. So, best thing you can do is tune the heck out of your bandsaw. I just have a older style, early 90s Delta bandsaw.
They've been resawing since the beginning of time. Doesn't matter how old your bandsaw is.
It's all about the setup and making sure your guides are set right and the blade's set right. And I cannot recommend enough checking out Alex Snodgrass. And we're going to put it in the show notes. Thank you. He's the bandsaw king. Like, he's the guy that knows bandsaws, bandsaw blades, bandsaw setups. He works with Carter. That's I think it's actually their family business, if I'm correct. Like, they make Carter guides. You may have heard that said before. That Carter also makes blades. And the way he sets up a bandsaw, he'll literally remove the table off the bandsaw, which usually we will not even think of, and help you dial it in from the bottom rollers to the top rollers. And even if you don't have rolling guides, that's fine. Once you tune it, I can guarantee you're going to be getting straighter cuts. You're going to be wasting way less material, and you're not going to be getting drift when you're cutting on that bandsaw. You're going to get way better results. Another option is using your table saw, but I got to be honest, that's a little sketchy. I don't recommend it to a lot of people. Plus, you can only go as high as your blade will go up. What about you, Mike? I know you got a fancy Laguna.
Well, it doesn't matter what brand bandsaw you have.
But you get a little more.
Why you're attacking Laguna is very weird right now.
I love Laguna. I'm jealous.
No, honestly, it's just about dialing it in. You really, when you put it's why I don't like taking my blade off ever, is because every time you swap your blade out, you have to redial the thing in, essentially. That's why I have a little baby Delta. It's like a 7 or 8 inch Delta that I use for as much scroll work and radius cutting as I can. It can't handle a lot. It's like a 3rd horsepower or something. And then I have my Laguna, which I keep my resaw blade on, and I'll do like really wide sweeping radiuses and a lot of resawing on there. But if you're dialed and you're not going to be seeing any drift, you should only lose the kerf, and that's the thickness of the blade when you do your resaw. So you should be able to get you should be able to factor that in pretty easily when you buy your lumber. For me, though, I don't really buy lumber to resaw it. I usually just kind of go, oh, do I have this sitting in my stock? And I just grab whatever I've got that I can resaw down. And then whatever I have left over is what I have left over. So it's not really like it's not like a cost saving. Usually if I'm resawing, it's because I don't have the size product I need on hand. So I cut it down from something else. I don't usually go and buy it. But the other thing is you can't really buy 3/8 lumber. You got to go buy 4/4, which is actually 13/16, and then you got to resaw that down, and then minus the kerf of that actually will end up giving you 2 3/8 pieces of lumber if you have zero drift. So it is kind of hard to get zero drift, but in theory you should be able to tune up your bandsaw to get zero drift. Dan, resawing?
Yes. I have a tiny little I think it might be a little 8-inch Hitachi bandsaw. It's something I picked up off of Craigslist years ago. So I don't have a whole lot of experience with this, believe it or not. So I'm just gonna say ditto to what these guys said.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I have none to add.
All right. Our next question is from Jake Vance, and he has a question about woodworking.
Hey guys, Jake from JV Woodworks here. Had a question about tool purchases. I know you have all kind of said at different times that you're buy once, cry once type of guys. But is there anything that you actually don't believe in that mindset on? Any tools you think it's best just to buy cheap or upgrade incrementally as you need? Let me know what you think.
Pete?
So, yeah, any tool that genuinely will improve your workflow is worth the buy once, cry once, 100%.
What isn't worth it, though?
What isn't worth it? I think, depending on your workflow, like, all right, maybe a joiner you might not need to go for top of the line, 8-inch, whatever, like a basic bench top, 6-inch will do fine. A sander, most of us, that's especially a tool, like handheld tools are things you kind of work up to, especially we've got the Merca now, but in reality, we were all fine with either the Bosch or the DeWalt for a while. We just didn't know what we were missing. Okay, we were fine with them because we didn't know that there was even a better option.
I was fine with it.
I think another thing that you're okay to, depending on what you're doing, to go up incrementally is like, all right, first you get a dowel jig, then you get a biscuit joiner, then you get a domino. But if you're doing a lot of cabinetry, you're going for the domino. Don't even waste your time and money on everything else because you're going to literally pay yourself back in the time you're saving. I have paid myself back hours with this Merca Darrow sander. Like, it's saving me hours of sanding. It's a legitimate thing. Like, same thing with the drum sander. We talk a lot about the drum sander. It saves a lot of freaking time. So it is kind of specific to what you do. Like, I do cutting boards, and when I do end grade cutting boards, I need a drum sander. But if I wasn't doing end grade cutting boards, I would absolutely wait to get a drum sander. I don't really need it yet. So what about you, Dan?
Actually, I think clamps. You don't need to go top of the line, like right out of the gate. You can go to Harbor Freight and buy their cheap grip clamps or whatever they are, or the F-style clamps. What are they, like $5 or $6 a piece? They're pretty cheap. You can get by with that. I know.
$3. I have piles of them.
They're really cheap. So you don't need to. I'm gonna ruin our future sponsorship here, but you don't need to get Bessie right out of the gate. You can go with. I
was not aware that there's even potential for a Bessie sponsorship.
Well, I'm just saying. There may or may not be like a potential there.
Bessie, if you're listening, we love you.
But you can get by on like Harbor Freight clamps, or like clamps you can find on the Facebook Marketplace. You just need something that's gonna like squeeze things together. You ain't gotta outfit your shop in all red right away. What about you, Mike?
For me, it's a jigsaw that I don't care about because I literally never use, and so for me, upgrading that means nothing. I'll never spend money on a jigsaw other than something cheap. I have a hand planer by Win, and I will never upgrade that because I literally use it to clean up really gross beat up stock. But you know, I'll disagree on the hand sanding tools because, I mean, if you're like weekend warrior, not really doing this very often, then yeah, that's whatever. I get it. The $100 tool, the $100 sander price point makes sense. But if you're doing anything outside of that, you're either buying the $100 sander or you're buying the premium sanders. There's not a whole lot of in between, so you're not really like incrementally. You're either going to have the sanders that do the job but really suck, and everyone who uses them kind of says sanding sucks, or you're going to be the one that has the sander that you're like, well, sanding's not so bad anymore. Yeah. So when you have this whole process that you do on every single project, and you can buy this one tool, or there's Festool makes good tools too, but the Mirka, we got I ride and die for the Mirka. It makes that whole process better. So to me, it's worth the money. And then drum sanders aren't only for in-grain cutting boards. They're for a lot of things. Really? So I clean up all my resaw stuff on them. If I have maple that I need to clean up or thickness down, I don't like to throw it through my planer because
after you resaw something, you can throw it through the drum sander.
That's what I just said. Yeah. And
I'm sorry.
And then and
the first answer
for drum sander is more than just in-grain cutting boards. I definitely don't think it's a necessary tool. I do think that if you're going to buy it, you should just kind of go big as soon as you can. I do like that. But however, if you go the route Pete went, where you find like the 1632 size, yours 1632, correct?
Yep, that's what it is.
Used, he got it for $3. That's a killer deal. And as long as you know that the thing is dialed, there's no reason not to go that route.
Yeah.
But really,
I'm eventually going to go bigger, but right now I don't need to, because it's almost a buy once, cry once already.
Yeah, for you, it's almost buy once, cry, exactly.
Because it's a bit of a, we talked about this before. It's a bit of a, not a luxury tool, but
it's a bit of a luxury tool.
A more advanced.
It kind of changes like with what you're doing.
Yes.
I mean, things change, but I mean, he's kind of asking like what tools aren't buy once, cry once, and I think
we omitted the obvious answer, and that is a table saw. For most people, that is a incremental upgrade, because most people aren't starting out milling up like tabletops and stuff.
I disagree with that as well.
Are you milling tabletops on a table saw?
I disagree with that as well. I think that you really want a really good table saw, since it's like the most important tool in the shop.
Yeah, I would argue that that's a buy once, cry once tool.
I think you need to go like as hard as you can on a table saw.
I'm gonna have to do the classic Peter disagrees with the two professional woodworkers over here, and go with. I know.
I don't know if you're wearing pants right now.
I firmly believe in you can do a lot with a small, good calibrated.
No one's arguing.
Middle of the road.
You can do a lot with all these tools. You're paying more for the convenience of how fast they are.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's a saw that I upgraded multiple times over time, and I'm
there's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong.
No, you're wrong. I'm trying to get my point across so they know I'm right.
For me, it's like. Anyway, I get what you're saying. I get the point. Yeah. I think it's all very you need to be introspective and look at yourself and go, what am I building?
It really is.
How do I need to focus my funds? Yeah. How do I focus my funds? For me, it's a jigsaw because I hate it. That hand planer I use to clean up really beat up wood, and everything else I kind of want to be as good as I can. I will agree that like stationary sanding tools you can kind of go pretty cheap on, until you just can't anymore. Like I've had that, we all know the orange one, the orange or edge sander. I've had that thing break on me 3 times now. So I got rid of it finally. I couldn't handle it anymore. So, anyway, it's just some things it's just really frustrating to have to keep replacing. And that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hey, should we maybe talk giveaway? We're kind of in the middle of the.
Ooh, yeah, giveaway. Giveaway here.
Oh, jeez.
Should I do another question while you prepare that?
Yeah, I need to find the.
That's fine. Let me do another question.
We're definitely not stalling. I'm not singing for no reason.
Let's do this question from
Are we on week 6?
Oh my God. Damn.
Do this in your head. I'm gonna do TK. This is Thelma with TK Woodworking. Here we go.
What is up, guys? This is T, TK Woodworking. So I learned a very valuable lesson. Always double check numbers before you call out. I spoke to a super nice older lady, but she knew nothing about dust collection. So my question to you guys is, do you have any advice for those wanting a whole shop dust collection system? Also, do you go with PVC, metal ducting? And lastly, any tips to increase the overall collection? Appreciate you guys. Much love. Keep up the awesome work of the podcast.
Dan, what do you think?
Dan's pointing at himself, so I'm going to go real quick. To answer this real quick.
Tell us what Dan would do.
Dan would run down to Home Depot. He'd find the 3.6 gallon rigid. He'd strap a trash can to it. He'd run some 2.5-inch piping Dan, you answer the question.
No, you nailed it. Except I would buy a shop vac, not a rigid.
Oh, okay.
And I would put a 45 gallon HDPE drum on top of the shop vac.
Food safe.
Yeah, it's food safe. That's important. Yeah. And then I'd put a Dust Deputy Cyclone on top of it. And that works great. I don't see the problem.
Cool.
Mike?
To get the opposite, Mike, you don't hate your lungs. What would you do?
So if you're going to go, me and TK already kind of talked about this off the show, but if you want to go PVC.
Insider trading? What's going on here?
Yeah. I told her to call in a question. So for the metal ducting.
Did you tell her or did you ask her?
I asked her after I told her. I said, hey, call into the show. And she said, hey, you don't talk to me that way. And I said.
That's something she would say.
No. I asked her to call into the show. I don't remember if I asked her or told her, but either way, we have a really good relationship, so it was fine.
Answer the question.
No, I'm going to keep going on this weird tangent. So then we talked about Otter Pops and how good they are. No. So I'm using the really thin metal ducting in my shop. And that's only really recommended for dust collection or for dust collectors up to like 2 horsepower. Anything between 2 and 3 horsepower, it can actually collapse that metal. So you need something more rigid. And you can get the higher gauge commercial, or I guess it would be the lower gauge commercial piping if you want to go with something higher in horsepower. I personally think that when I upgrade, I will go to an 8-inch PVC again, even though it's more unsightly compared to the 8-inch lower gauge commercial ducting. It's extremely expensive. I need to do some more research, but that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. So, and the best thing you can do to maximize your CFMs is to keep your maximum size of your pipe as big as it can be for the longest run. And you want to have as few turns as possible. And you don't want hard 90s. You want like sweeping 45s. You want 2 45s instead of a 90 when you make your turn. So that's how you maximize your airflow. You want as little resistance as possible along the mains. And you want I think the rule of thumb is no more than 3 turns. Anything after 3 turns, you start to really lose your airflow. So that's kind of my answer. Peter?
I agree with you on pretty much everything. I think, the less, the smoother the surface that the air is running through, the better. But one of the things that you didn't touch up on that I know you're big on is suction loss. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest problems in a lot of shops. A lot of people will just use those like little metal things, where you tighten with a screwdriver and it gets tighter around the fitting. That doesn't do squat. Those are great. The hose clamps. Yeah, there you go. Forgot how to English for a while. So those are fine, but just slap a little bit of duct tape or something around there. There's a lot of suction loss in all of those joints. That's one of the biggest issues. And it's okay to run, the flexible, stretchy, the hose that like collapses and it's got the ridges to it. That's fine too. It's good.
No,
enough.
It's not.
Well, hey, hang on.
You lose like almost 50% of your CF.
You do lose some suction, but it's still good. But as long as it's sealed.
It's a lot.
Let me answer my question.
Okay, fine.
Damn, Dad. It's still better than it's still better than a 2.5-inch port hooked up to a vacuum with a dust deputy on it. So what you really want to, you still want to have a nice tight seal on it. And one thing that we didn't really cover is multiple dust collectors. I've seen multiple shops where there is a dust collector for this set of tools and there's a dust collector for this set of tools. And it's actually not the worst idea, depending on your setup, if it makes sense, because you're then not having to split up those CFMs over a long run or multiple tools. You have less air loss that way. So some people will get like one of those wall hanging units for 2 tools and then everything else on the main. You can do that as well. That's a nice way of doing it. But the smoother you can get it, I think she runs PVC in her shop, if I remember correctly.
She ran PVC.
Yeah, which is, I think, a great way to do it. Thelma, you already had the answers. You're doing it perfectly. Keep on being awesome. Mike is wrong.
I do need to addendum. Those
Go ahead.
PVCs lose a lot of velocity. They lose a lot. I did a lot of research on this.
But if that's
you
what
really
you
need to minimize the amount of flex PVC that you use. You need to have your drops. You need to have your rigid drops, and you need to have those as short as you can humanly make them, because they have ribbing in them, and that ribbing creates a circular airflow underneath. Anyway, it creates you can lose up to 50% of your CFM. I agree,
but sometimes that's the best option, because I don't have an option for a drop in my shop because I have very low CFMs.
Yeah.
I have to run it over the floor.
It works as well just because that's what you have.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna go with something that's the best minimum option you can go with.
It works, yes. It does the job for sure. Like realistically, in a hobbyist shop or in any of our shops where we have a garage, the amount of length you're going to have on that flex PVC is not going to lose enough CFM for it to be an issue. So Pete is correct. That is correct for the majority of our shops.
That's the minimum to me.
Yeah. Dan.
Dan
already went. That's right. It was so quick. Dan.
And now we're going into the giveaway, right?
Giveaway.
Yes. Let's talk about this week's giveaway, shall we? This week's giveaway, sponsored by Macbeth Hardwood, is going to be a Bow Shield T9 Tool Care Kit 3-pack.
Sweet.
And Mike can tell you what that is.
Yes. So Bow Shield it's actually BOE, Bow Shield. It's actually short for Boeing, because this technology was developed by Boeing to reduce friction on the space shuttle, and that is the truth. They have a few products that they offer. The main product is T9 Bow Shield. It's for your cast iron. You can spray it on your cast iron. You let it sit. Once it builds a film and starts to dry, you buff it off, and it makes your cast iron super smooth, and it prevents it from rusting. They also have a rust remover. Do you have it in front of you, Dan? But they have a rust remover, and they have a cleaning solution, I believe, in that kit. I can't remember 100%, but I believe I have that same kit.
What I have in front of me is this is a $37 value.
Boom. Yeah, so it's a good setup. And I've had my can of Bow Shield for like 2 years. It lasts forever. And I clean my cast iron every 3 months. So awesome. What I do is I hit it with like a light duty Scotch-Brite pad and some WD-40, which I could probably just use the rust remover stuff. But I hit my cast iron with that, and then I spray it down with the Bow Shield. Anyway, back to you, Dan. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's going to be this week's giveaway. And the secret code phrase is going to be DD Dust Collection.
DD Dust Collection?
Yes.
DD Dust. I love it. It's going to be a brand, guys.
I made that up. I didn't run it by the guys. Oh. That's the secret code phrase this week. So you need to send it, DD Dust Collection. You need to send that to us on our IG at anotherwoodshoppodcast.com. Wait, no. Back up.
It can also be DDDC if you want to do that.
Let's back up here.
Yep.
Send DD Dust Collection to our IG at Another Woodshop Podcast, or you want to send that to us in an email at anotherwoodshoppodcast@gmail.com. You will be entered for this week's giveaway, sponsored by Macbeth Hardwood.
Thank you, Macbeth.
Thank you, Macbeth. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Is that
cool.
Cool.
That's exciting.
Right. Did we announce the winner of the giveaway?
Oh yeah. Last week's giveaway was Michael Bauer, and I already reached out to him on IG. He won last week's giveaway, which was the 750 milliliter container of Ecopoxy. Yes.
Sweet.
So be on the lookout for that, Michael.
We're all bourbon-y.
Dope prize.
It's dope. It's fire. All right, so this next
Stop
question.
it. You're using it wrong.
Yeah, I'm doing it on
Just
purpose.
stop.
Okay. Yeah, this next question is from John with Texas Yankee Carpentry. He's got a question about router tables.
Hey, what's going on, guys? John from Texas Yankee Carpentry here. I just have a question. I wanted your guys' opinion on whether I should build my own router table or buy a whole router table package. Just trying to figure out which one would be, I don't know, more sensible. Because if I built the whole entire table myself, I'd have to build the top, get the lift, get the router, build the cabinet, or get a rockler stand and close it in plywood and all that. Or I just buy the whole complete router table package. I am looking at the Jessam one. Seems to be a solid choice. Obviously, if I got the table package, it would save me time, and time is money. So, I don't know. I just wanted your guys' thoughts on build one or buy one. I love the podcast. You guys are killing it. Keep it up, and I hope you guys are all doing good.
Pete?
So, John, I think router tables are the new dovetails. Everyone's got to do it. So I think you should build one. If you don't have one built yet, you got to build it. Yeah, like the full set, the Incra or the Jessam ones, they're like really fancy. But honestly, like, yeah, get the lift, get the, some of the hardware, get some T-track, but build it to your own, your own liking. You got to build it. That's just my thing. I think building router tables, rite of passage. What about you, Dan?
Well, I think it comes down to how much you're pumping out of your shop. If you're swamped with orders, client orders, maybe the best route for you would be buy a router table that's already assembled. If not, and you're looking for content, build the router table and buy the lift maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty simple answer, I think. Mike, what do you think?
Honestly, it's basically the same answer as you. It depends on really where you're at kind of in woodworking, I guess. If you're kind of getting started out in woodworking, I think it's a really good project to build for yourself. You can learn there's a lot of important techniques in building a router table that you can practice. And realistically, you're not going to keep that router table forever unless you build like a super great one. Yeah. It's possible you could do that. I just literally gave mine away to a local woodworker today, the one that I had built, and I do not regret building it at all. It was a fun project. I used that thing for 1.5 years. I'm so glad that I spent the time to build a router table. It was great. I wasn't like on Instagram or on social media when I built it, so I didn't use it as like content really, but it was a great project for me. I was really proud of it. I built a table. I had my router in there. It felt great. Now I would 100% buy one because I just don't care to do it. I just want the thing now. I want it to be done. So it kind of bleeds into
your point. You can make one.
Yeah. It's not even that. It's just like so much time. But yeah, you're right. Like there is part of that for sure. But like, it's like what Dan said, like there's just like, that's a multi-day project and sometimes there's not time for that. Like, especially these days, I just feel like I just don't have time for anything. So,
time is money. He's right on that. Time is money.
He is. It is. And it is important. I mean, if you got like stuff you're doing, that Jessam table, that thing's money, man. That thing's really nice. So
in that Incra table, dude, I saw that recently. I was picking up a bandsaw for a buddy of mine, and the guy had the whole entire Incra table set up for his router with the whole fence where it like slides on the center pivot. Mm-hmm. Sorry, if you guys hear gunshots in the background, that's fireworks going off in my neighborhood.
Right.
Polish Independence Day.
Polish Independence. It's in November. We went over this.
That's right. They're firing off sausages.
That's why that's a real thing. They're very loud explosions. Because of the casing. The casing's really thick.
I love how this question went south.
Oh, it's so bad. So bad. Yeah, I think we answered that one.
Yeah.
There's a guy who we get questions from every week, and his name is Josh the Dad. But he's colloquially known as Jay the D from the Big IG. So, anyway, Josh has a great question. Is it a question? Yeah, there is a question in there. It's kind of a long commentary, so it's a good question, Josh. Thanks.
Hey guys, this is Josh the Dad of Josh the Dad 1 of the Big IG coming at you with this week's comment. I just want to apologize to all the listeners. I did not mean for my question to resonate kind of a Debbie Downer in the back half of the podcast last week, but I'm really sorry about that. But I am going to say thanks, guys, because you guys deserve applause for the way you handled that question, being real, being honest, and genuine. You guys did a great job, and you handle those things with class, and that's what I appreciate about your podcast. So many podcasts out there, they fill you with garbage, they fill you with stuff that they think you want to hear, but you guys speak from the heart, and I really appreciate that. So thank you. So then this brings up the question, I guess, for the week. You've mentioned other podcasts that you guys have listened to, and I've tried to go back and look at the show notes, but I'm kind of lazy. What are your favorite podcasts that you like to listen to that you really get a benefit from hearing each week? Because I don't know of any podcast that's gonna beat you guys in quality each time. So there's my question. Have a good week.
Daniel.
Man, that's a really good question, and I wanna say thank you, Josh, for all the kind words. That's heavy hitting in and of itself. I don't listen to many woodworking podcasts, to be perfectly honest with you. I like making it. I like making it with Jimmy DeResta, David Picciuto, and Bob Claggett. That's my favorite podcast of like all time. I really like their flow. I like their the way they interact with each other. I really like it. I really like Modern Maker podcast with Ben Ueda, Chris Salamone, and Mike Montgomery. It really entertains me, and I like how they're all different styles of like woodworkers. And it, aside from like a woodworking podcast, my wife has gotten me into this, and I almost feel a little bad, but it's so great. I like the Office Ladies podcast with Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey from The Office, Pam and Angela. It's fantastic. We listen to it.
Podcast?
Yes.
Oh
yes. And they go through every episode of the podcast or every episode of The Office.
Right.
Week by week. And they break it down and they give you insider information. We listen to it. We listened to it the whole way to the Black Hills from Omaha, Nebraska, which was probably a 12-hour drive. It was fantastic.
Daniel, what's the name of that podcast?
The Office Ladies.
The Office Ladies.
Yes. And
it's going in the show notes.
There's another one that just came out not that long ago called I can't remember what he calls it. I wanna say like he calls it the oral history of The Office.
Yes, I think
I may or may not have a problem with The Office. It's Brian Baumgartner, who plays Kevin Malone on The Office. And he has a podcast called the Oral History of The Office, and I think he's five episodes in. Also amazing. It's amazing. Like his actual personality is nothing like Kevin Malone in The Office. It's fascinating to listen to.
It is. I just confirmed on the Googles. It's Oral History of the Office.
Yeah,
I typed in oral podcast. And it was the first thing that came up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, the internet has changed over the years.
I know.
So like, I think you can only listen to his podcast on Spotify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, those are my podcasts. What about you, Mike?
Making it, if we're staying in this realm, making it is definitely huge for me. Wood Talk is very informative.
Wood Talk.
The other podcasts we've mentioned on the show, we're buddies with these guys. We Built the Thing. Those guys, those are other makers that are, doing the same thing. And then Shop Sounds is out there. That's another podcast. I can't guarantee you're going to like all these podcasts we name, but we're just naming them off. These are guys we know. They're doing podcasts. Yeah. I really like AskCast with Paul Jackson.
Oh my gosh, I forgot so many good podcasts.
And, ZH Fabs and Graz. It's not even a maker podcast. It's just them doing like an episode of Jerry Springer every time. It's hilarious.
So is it Askcast or
Askcast?
Ask or Ask
Girl,
Cast?
get wild when you back that ask.
The second you listen to it, you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah, you'll get that. So those are podcasts that are on my rotation. I used to listen when I used to have free time before I got into woodworking. I used to listen to a lot of podcasts, and like there's a few like the Serial podcast and Criminal. I could bring up my list of pods, but there's just like I really liked crime podcasts a lot. But yeah, as I like got into woodworking, making it was the first. I mean, like Claggett and Pachuto and DeResta, those are the guys that I like started, following and getting into this. They were like the guys who like took me into this world. And I've listened to every single, I think they have 400. I can honestly say I've listened to every single episode of that podcast just because those guys do, I've never met those guys, but they mean a lot to me for my woodworking. So they're really important to me on a kind of, what's the word? Not emotional level, but they mean a lot to me. That podcast means a lot to me because they helped usher me into something that I truly love, which is woodworking. So that's my lists. Bourbon Mike out. Pete out. Hard.
So first answer is ditto to all those. Yeah, the Askcast, Askcast. Yep, making it all like those are the classics. I mean, to throw it in there too is. I think we all listen to Wood Talk, growing up in the woodworking thing. Yes. Like Wood Talk is just like you say it without, you don't even mention it because obviously you listen to Wood Talk because they're great. One that I would recommend and this isn't for everyone, is Shannon Rogers' podcast. That's an offshoot of Wood Talk. It was a segment on Wood Talk, which is the lumber industry update. If you want to learn about wood, and properties of wood and selecting wood and grading a lot, like really nerd out on the stuff. If you get into that, check out Shannon's Lumber Industry Update. He's the Renaissance Woodworker on Instagram and YouTube. And that's a really good one because it actually has a lot of really, really good information. Again, it's like going to school. For some people, it's a little dry, but the info in there, if you really listen, is really freaking good. Aside from that, one that I listen to is kind of a guilty pleasure is Evan and Caitlin. They do a podcast. They have they're a set of they're married. They're makers.
They have an amazing dynamic.
Yeah, I love those two. Me and Emma have like fallen in love with them. We listen to their podcast now. We watch their shows. They have a good dynamic, and they're so genuine about the fact that they're like, we're just trying to figure this out. We're just doing this with you. So it's not like a video of like how to. It's watch us figure out how to.
Well, they have T-shirts that say make fail. Yeah, and that's perfect for them.
They fully go into that, and their podcast actually covers a lot of good stuff about content creation. It's actually given me a lot of good info about like how YouTube works and how some of this background stuff works and the equipment they use. They're very transparent about it, so I do enjoy that. And then I have some other ones, but I'm not even going to talk about them because I feel like I listen to like Dave Ramsey for like money management help, and then there's some other ones for like for just like the murder mysteries too. I was big into that for a while, so that's going down.
I feel bad for bringing up the Office podcast now. You guys are all like woodworking and making podcasts.
Well, we're trying to focus on the woodworking ones, but there's so many like garbage podcasts I used to listen to, and
there's so many really great podcasts. It's a really cool space. There's that Another Woodshop podcast that show's amazing.
So good. And they're all so different. The dynamic so good. Well, you guys read the reviews. They're fire.
Oh jeez.
Good. I'm glad Dan's on this side with me again. No,
I'm slowly like coming over to your side.
But for reallys though.
For real?
J the D.
J the D. J the D, bro.
That was Dan said it, but I want to say it too. Pete said he didn't want to say it, which I thought was rude. But I wanted
That's
to say
a lie. That's a bull-faced lie.
I wanted to say
J the D, I love you.
The same. Yeah, Josh, thank you for that message. For that call in, man. That's really, really nice.
Yeah.
And,
Josh, you're not a patron, so you don't know this, but when we do our sound check, you're literally the sound check that I do every day.
Oh yeah, Josh is the sound
Mike
check.
Dan check, Josh the dad
Josh
here,
the
and then
dad
if I
won.
peek, I know I'm fine. My audio's okay.
We really appreciate you, Josh.
We love you.
Always calling in every week. We really do. So thank you so much, man.
You're
so, gentlemen, we're at 1 minute or one minute. We're 1 hour. Minutes.
Do another hour.
It's going quick. We want to get another question, a couple questions in here. You want to kind of get this list? We got a lot more.
One or two. I'll dial up the dittos. Let's do it.
Uno más, por favor.
Let's do uno más, and then maybe we'll do dos más.
Yeah, maybe tres más.
Maybe cuatro más. All right, this is from Adam Brady, and he has a question about woodworking.
Hey guys, Adam Brady here. Wanted to get y'all's take on how to calculate how many board feet you guys need for your projects. If you guys use SketchUp and do a layout in SketchUp, or you guys just jam it by hand, and interested typically how much waste you guys are left over on your projects on average. Thanks.
Daniel.
Oh. I was pointing at Pete.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pete.
If you saw the video, you saw me pointing at Pete. Anyway, I'll go first. I've recently started using Fusion, which is great. So I will draw up my sketch in Fusion, and Pete's helped me with the 2 sketches I've done so far. But after I draw that up, I will hand write down all the lumber I'm going to need for that project. And then I do my formula, 3 times the material plus 10%, all that stuff. So it's kind of a hybrid, digital versus pen and paper, I guess. And it's, if you don't know how to figure out board feet, it is, what is it?
1 inch thick by
12 inch by 12 inch
12
by
inches
1 inch.
by 12 inches.
Yeah. It's a volumetric measurement.
Yeah. So if you do the
length times width times
thickness and height in inches divided by 144, you get your board feet.
But everything has to be in inches.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Okay. Peter?
For me, I think a good starting point is if you know the dimensions of your build, if most of your material is going to be an inch thick or 3/4 of an inch, you need to get about 5/4 inch lumber or 4/4 inch lumber, which I guess we never really got into the quarter stuff. If you guys want to know more about it, write in, ask us questions about it. But I kind of just go off of the basic, all right, I have this many tops, I have this many legs. I kind of stack it all up together, and I go, all right, total, that's 10 board feet of lumber. The rule of thumb is always you want to get a little more. I go even above that because that's a quick and dirty way of getting your measurements. So I'll go about 20% over that. Because for me, also for the projects that I build, I'm okay with having a little overstock of certain woods. Yes. If I have some extra walnut or maple or ash, I'm fine with that. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. If I have a lot of overstock of Paduke or Purple Heart or mahogany or whatever.
Building a lot of projects out of solid Purple Heart, Pete?
Yeah, exactly.
Just
saying. There's certain woods that I'm like, all right, I'm going to do them.
$83,000.
And I would then go to Fusion or, I used to do SketchUp when I was first starting out. But in reality, if you just get a ballpark of the surface, how much volumetrically do you have, like Dan said, of your design, just go with that plus 15, 20%. You're going to be fine.
Exactly. That's what I do.
Yep. Mike?
Add 15%.
Mike.
Ditto.
I run with 15%. 15% is my my material overage, and 15% is my overhead and profit as well. So that's the number I run with. So.
Are you going just handwritten, kind of hand drawn, or are you going with those whatever you're getting out of a SketchUp or?
Well, it depends. Fusion? I mean, I'm doing a lot more stuff in Fusion, but
there's no plugin for it for.
Well, you can pull that cut list out. I mean, you can run that cut list thing, and it's not a cut list. What do they call it? A parts list. You can run that parts list, and if you clean up that parts list, you can actually get a really nice cut list out of it, as long as you spend the time cleaning it up. And you can actually
nobody got time for that.
I do it every time. It's nice. It takes not very much time, actually. Everybody got time for that.
Nobody.
No, it depends on the size of the project, honestly. If I'm going to draw it up, or if it's like a shop furniture thing, unless I'm planning on making plans to sell, I'm not going to make plans for it in Fusion. So it depends. But Fusion, I do like Fusion to be able to break down. It really helps you quantify all the different parts of the piece, and that's obviously the value of the program, is that you can see every single piece kind of in an exploded view, and it's much more difficult to miss, like, oh, I forgot to factor in all the aprons to this or something like that, because they're kind of exploded. You can see them all. So anyway, I do the same thing as you guys. Ditto. It's just ditto.
That was a long answer for a ditto.
Well, long ass ditto. Be something in the middle.
I asked to follow up. It's my own fault.
To follow up. This is really, once again,
answer. What's the next question? Is it a quick one, or do we want to wrap up?
I don't remember what. I don't remember what it is.
1 hour 11.
Yeah, we usually run an hour and 20. People don't mind.
Let's do this one real quick and not argue about it. This one's from Adam's Custom Made.
Hey guys, this is Adam from Adam's Custom Made. Question for you. When considering a shop redesign or restructure, what would you say are the top 3 things that you should consider when thinking about setting a shop up for the most efficient shop flow?
Pete? Efficiency. Mike, what about you?
I'm going to say efficiency. Dan?
Dust collection.
Shit, get the hell out of here. You're off the show. You're off the show.
You put us up to this, and then you throw a wrench in.
We practiced this. We rehearsed for 3 hours for this. Efficiency, dust collection.
Freaking Dunlap.
Daniel Dunlap dust collection. But yes, if I may give a longer answer, yeah, it's efficiency. It's your workflow. It's like when something comes into your shop, what is it hitting first? You know,
I was being
miter saw,
I was being
joiner,
a Dunlap.
table saw. Such a Dunlap sometimes.
Yeah, efficiency. Efficiency rules all.
But also consider if you're actually trying to lay out your shop, consider power and dust collection. That's important too. So those 3 things. That's my answer. Michael?
I thought we already did this.
I don't know. Well, we said efficiency.
It's definitely. I agree with Pete. It's
dittos.
Efficiency, power, and dust collection. I mean, those are the things that really, really determine what my shop looks like. And then, way, way, way down the list, I was thinking about, filming stuff in there. But it was a factor when I was organizing my shop. But it just so happens that in my case, and I think in most cases, when you have an efficiently laid out shop, it actually works really well for the filming aspect of it as well. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of it for questions.
Ditto.
That's it for
questions. We got through a lot of questions. We still have a lot of questions. They're going to roll over to next week. If you're listening and didn't hear your question,
we got so many questions.
We got so many questions. It's getting to the point now where we're going to have to start kind of picking and choosing. So you might want to make a good question next time, huh?
Right.
No, I was joking.
You'll still have it played eventually.
Yeah, we'll play them. We'll try not to do a call for questions next week. I don't know if we want to say that, but it's too late now. Urban Mike. So let's.
I said Urban Mike.
Urban Mike.
Urban Mike.
It's my other
Urban
page.
Mike.
DIY
Urban
stuff.
Mike.
Urban Mike wears a bandana on his head.
That's his TikTok handle.
Urban Mike.
Urban Mike looks a lot like Prison Mike.
Prison Mike. Yeah, it's just a bandana.
I knew Dan would
the
laugh.
worst thing about prison is the Dementors.
And they never caught me neither. I think we've done this bit on the show a few times.
We have, but it's a great bit.
Let's ribbity rappity wrap this thing up. Hey, Pete. Yeah, Pete, I want you to.
I'll do it. Don't threaten me with a good time. I want to do a big thank you to our patrons and a huge thank you to our sponsor, Bear Hollow Supply, for all your badass hardware needs. And Bear Hollow Supply is great. And everyone, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for hitting us up on Instagram. We do appreciate all the comments, all the reposts. We're still trying to grow. We're still a very small podcast. We want to grow bigger. We want to do this and keep doing this. We have a blast doing it. We really do. And you can tell because we just have fun. We just now, the first one was very professional. We wore shirts and ties. You couldn't tell there was no video. Now it's just we're drinking. We don't care. Right. But we still have a blast. And we want you guys to call in. I know we're saying we're not going to do a call for questions, but keep calling in.
Yeah,
we always need
questions.
a backlog of questions.
It's a joke, for sure.
Keep calling in. Yeah, Mike was serious. I'm not. Keep calling in.
What? You are serious.
Or send us. Yeah, well, I'm serious about that. Yeah. Call in with questions. You can call. The number is, I'm definitely not stalling. It is 754-2255-297 or 754-CALL-AWP. Yes, we're that badass. We have our own name and our phone number. But the best way to do it is record it on your phone in a voice memo. Send it over to anotherwoodshoppodcast@gmail.com. And please make sure to leave a review. 5 stars only. Yes, the system's still broken. Don't try to test it. It's not going to take a 4-star or lower. Just leave us the best review you can. And make sure to check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and our podcast on Patreon. And I guess if you're one of those people, check out Mike and Dan on TikTok. I hate you.
Hey, but real quick,
I have a TikTok video that has 150,000 views.
Yeah, which is like 100 likes on Instagram. Like, that's the equivalent.
That's basically.
That's awesome. We only have 300.
I'm kind of big on TikTok now.
The other thing was, we got shared a lot this week by everyone out there, and Pete touched on it. Guys, I don't know that there's much that helps the podcast grow more than sharing the podcast.
Word of mouth is key.
I mean, word of mouth. I mean, we really appreciate the shares, and please consider sharing us in your stories. It really helps get the word out a lot. We got a lot of reshares this week, like a lot. I think there was 5 a day I was resharing, and we cannot thank you more for that. We just really appreciate it, and thank you so much.
Yeah, we hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. As a giveaway, we're giving away our answers next week to your questions. You're welcome.
Remember, Dan, when we were going to try to get the podcast's Instagram to 10,000 before Pete?
Did Pete know about this?
I don't know if we told him. I don't remember.
Hey, I'm at 11K. I'll have you know.
Me and Dan were going to start a big campaign to get the podcast Instagram to 10K before Pete.
You guys, they hate me.
We love Pete.
Yeah,
we would never actually follow through.
I love you like
it's not even tough. Straight up love you.
Son, you left at the hospital.
Ow, what? We weren't going to talk about that on the.
But on a lighter note, thank you for listening.
I want to throw in.
I want to longest length of time.
I want to throw in my 2 cents. Yes. The community support we've got for this podcast is just
fire.
It is fire. Yes, it is unbelievable. The amount we've grown is just astonishing. Yeah. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, sure.
Right, that's it, Pete. You can continue.
That's it. That's all it is. Thank you guys for listening. I love it. I appreciate all the patrons, our sponsors. I appreciate these 2 goofballs. I believe it's Mike and Dan, right? Thank you for being on my show this week. And I will see you guys next week. I love you all long time.
Love you long time.
Long time.
Bye.